Welcome to NTD Newsroom. I'm Don Ma. A win for President Trump. A Georgia prosecutor drops the election interference case against Trump and his allies. What the prosecutor says about the high-profile case. President Trump is pushing back hard after a New York Times report suggested he may be slowing down. The FBI is expanding its probe into Democratic lawmakers who urged the military to refuse what they called illegal orders. We have updates. Kremlin responds to a leaked phone call in which Special Envoy Steve Witkoff reportedly advised President Putin on how to pitch a Ukraine peace plan to President Trump. How much does the Golden Dome missile defense system weaken bad actors' ability to threaten the U.S. with missile attacks? We discussed with the military expert. At least 36 people dead and 200 missing after a massive fire tore through a Hong Kong housing complex. We have the latest.
This is NTD Newsroom, live from our global headquarters in New York City.
Thank you for joining us today. A major legal victory for President Trump. A Georgia prosecutor is dropping the election interference racketeering case against Trump and his allies. Fulton County Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee officially dismissed the case today. Peter Skandalakis is director of the Prosecuting Attorneys Council of Georgia. He decided to drop all remaining charges. He wrote in a court filing that it would not serve the interests of justice to keep prosecuting. Skandalakis assigned the case to himself earlier this month. He was unable to find another prosecutor willing to take it on. Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis launched the case back in 2023. She alleged that Trump and his allies attempted to overturn the 2020 election results in Georgia. A Georgia court later disqualified Willis from prosecuting the case. President Trump is pushing back against a recent New York Times piece calling his health into question. Trump cited what he described as his administration's achievements, including settling multiple wars and kickstarting economic growth. On Truth Social, Trump said all those successes require a lot of work and energy, saying he has never worked so hard in his life. But the New York Times piece published today suggested he could be slowing down. The article stated that Trump has fewer public events and is doing less domestic travel than during his first year in office. In 2017, that is. However, the article mentions the president is taking more foreign trips. The article also says he starts events a couple of hours later than in his first term and also mentions bruising on his hand. Trump responded saying, there will come a day when he runs low on energy, but said that time is not now. He added that he just had a perfect physical exam and a comprehensive cognitive test. The FBI is probing 6 Democrat lawmakers who posted a controversial video last week where they told the military to ignore orders they deem illegal. NTD's Melina Weisskopf breaks it down.
The FBI is now probing 6 Democratic lawmakers, all former service members. President Trump has accused the Democrats of seditious behavior and suggested that they should be arrested and charged. This is about a video they posted last week that went viral. In that video, they were urging military members to refuse what they called illegal orders, but without specifying which of Trump's orders exactly they deem as illegal.
Right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad, but from right here at home.
Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
Initially, the Department of War was probing Senator Mark Kelly alone, a retired U.S. Navy officer, specifically seeking to prosecute him. Military officials accused him of violating the Uniform Code of Military Justice and federal law, including one that bars actions intended to interfere with the loyalty, morale, or discipline of the military or naval forces of the United States. Now the FBI is looking into all 6 of the lawmakers in that video, requesting interviews with each of them. One senator involved, Alyssa Slotkin, posted yesterday in response calling it an intimidation tactic to scare people out of speaking up. Here's what the White House has said about the issue.
You can't have a functioning military if there's disorder and chaos within the ranks, and that's what these Democrat members were encouraging. It's very clear. They knew what they were doing in this video, and Senator Mark Kelly and all of them should be held accountable for that.
Now, it is true that those involved haven't specified which orders that they're urging military members to ignore, but Senator Slotkin said her main issue is the National Guard deployment. She's filed legislation in Congress pushing back on Trump's authority to send National Guard troops to cities. Another congressman involved filed legislation challenging Trump's authority to carry out boat strikes on drug boats in the Caribbean. So it's clear that they personally disagree with the administration's directives on these fronts, although it is questionable as to whether or not those orders were actually illegal. Reporting from Washington, D.C., Melina Weisskopf, NTD News.
Changes could be coming to Indiana's congressional map. Republican leaders in the state have decided to reconvene next month. Lawmakers will consider President Trump's call for redistricting ahead of the 2026 midterm elections. House Speaker Todd Hudson says lawmakers will return to the State House on December 1st to consider redrawing the state's congressional map and other issues. The Senate is set to follow on December 8th to make a final decision on any proposal the House passes. The move marks a reversal for Senate President Pro Tem Roderick Bray. Bray previously said there wasn't enough support to pass a new map. Trump has been pressuring Republican-led states to adopt more GOP-friendly districts. He has urged Indiana senators to, quote, find the votes. Indiana Republicans currently hold 7 of the 9 seats in the state's House. Kremlin aide Yuri Ushakov confirmed today that presidential envoy Steve Witkoff is set to visit Moscow next week to meet President Putin. Ushakov also addressed a leaked October phone call between Witkoff and himself. Witkoff reportedly advised Putin on how to pitch a peace plan to President Trump during the call.
To hinder us. It's unlikely this is being done to improve relations, which are being built difficultly, built through this sort of contact, including on the phone. Regarding Witkoff, I can say that a tentative agreement is reached that he will come to Moscow next week.
The transcript was published yesterday by Bloomberg News. It shows Witkoff suggesting that Putin congratulate Trump on the Gaza peace deal and highlight Russia's support. He said Putin should also say he respects Trump as a man of peace. Ushakov did not dispute the authenticity of the transcript, but said some content was fake and declined to comment further due to confidentiality. Trump said yesterday the proposal to end the war in Ukraine has been fine-tuned and emphasized Witkoff's upcoming trip to Moscow. NATO and Ukraine have announced a joint initiative to accelerate defense innovation. They'll work together to tackle battlefield challenges and to help NATO learn new lessons in real time. The initiative will be called Unite Brave NATO. Officials say it's the first joint NATO-Ukraine program of its kind. The first competition will focus on countering drones, strengthening air defense, and securing frontline communications. Teams of allied and Ukrainian companies will be eligible for joint grants worth over $10 million. After a successful pilot competition, NATO and Ukraine are planning to raise funds to over $50 million. Emergency services struggled to control a fire in Hong Kong today, which engulfed multiple residential high-rise towers. 36 people are dead, according to the government, with rescue crews unsure of how many people remain trapped in the buildings. Sean Hogan reports.
Over a dozen people are dead and an unknown number are still trapped after a massive fire engulfed multiple residential high-rise towers in Hong Kong on Wednesday, the government said. Fire crews were called to the Wong Fuk Court housing complex, home to 2,000 apartments in the northern Tai Po district, just before 3 p.m. Strong winds caused flames to spread to 7 of the complex's 8 blocks, some of which were clad in bamboo scaffolding. The Hong Kong Fire Services Department told Reuters it does not know the number of people who may still be inside the buildings.
Besides, the temperature inside the buildings concerned are very high. So it's quite difficult for us to enter the building and go upstairs to conduct firefighting and rescue operation.
This man told Reuters his wife was still inside the building as he watched smoke billow into the sky. Other residents stood on the street as their homes burned.
Of course I'm not feeling good, seeing so many blocks on fire, some of them burning all the way inside people's homes. How could anyone feel okay? Even though our block's fire seems like it's being put out, seeing the fires all around still makes you feel terrible.
Hong Kong is one of the last places in the world where bamboo is still widely used for scaffolding and construction. The government moved to start phasing out the city's use of it in March, citing safety. It announced that 50% of public construction works would be required to use metal frames instead.
In their latest update, Hong Kong authorities say in addition to the 36 killed, 279 people are currently unaccounted for. This while the fire continues to burn. One of the deceased is a firefighter. Hong Kong's chief executive John Lee said 29 people are in the hospital. At least 7 of them are in critical condition. Another 900 residents are seeking refuge at shelters. Lee is calling the fire a major disaster. Many residents are still believed to be trapped on higher floors of the apartment buildings. Firefighters have been struggling to reach them, but vow to keep trying. So far, no words on the cause of the fire. This is to be believed the deadliest fire in Hong Kong in decades. As this is a developing story, we'll keep you updated throughout the day. The U.S. Space Force has awarded prototype contracts under President Trump's Golden Dome missile defense program. Joining us to discuss is Rick Fisher, Senior Fellow at the International Assessment and Strategy Center and International Military Analyst. So, Rick, good to see you. President Trump said, quote, we will have the best system ever built. So can you describe for us what would be the biggest benefits of the Golden Dome missile defense system compared to traditional defense systems?
Don, thank you for having me. For 50 years, the United States has been debating whether to have a national missile defense program. Donald Trump ended that debate in January this year, and it's amazing. Americans have been living under the threat of nuclear attack for generations. Donald Trump's Golden Dome initiative will help to alleviate that threat. He plans to spend up to $175 billion, most likely much more, to create an initial national missile defense capability before he leaves office in 2029. The most recent contract award that you mentioned was for the first phase, a space-based interceptor system that will attack incoming nuclear missiles during their boost phase or just after they're launched. This is the best time to attack such missiles because they have not yet deployed multiple warheads, which would be much more difficult to shoot down. A second phase will work on a ground-based interceptor missile system that will deal with missiles that have achieved much closer proximity to the United States and will also be much more useful in defeating submarine-launched ballistic missiles. But look, the Russians and the Chinese do not want to limit their nuclear missile capabilities. China specifically refuses to limit its nuclear capabilities and is building its missiles. It could have 1,000, perhaps many more warheads by 2030. Creating a national missile defense is perhaps one of the most useful ways to gain and achieve some kind of control, to build an incentive for China and Russia to enter into real nuclear weapons reductions negotiations.
So how much would you say, given what you said just now, Rick, how much does the Golden Dome weaken bad actors' ability to threaten the U.S. with missile attacks?
It will weaken their ability to attack us significantly. And by reducing the utility of their nuclear offensive systems, it will build an incentive. It will build a deterrent from using those systems in the first place and to consider the advantages of actual arms reductions negotiations all around.
But I'm also wondering, Rick, If this missile defense system can undermine an adversary's confidence in their missiles' capability to strike the U.S., China, for example, could that also mean they're incentivized to build more missiles and more advanced ones? Just so that they still have the ability or the confidence to use these missiles as a threat against the U.S.
Yes, that is certainly a logical outcome, and the United States can build more missile defenses to counter them. But at some point, it's simply going to be useless to build ever more missiles, and at that point, it is expected that our adversaries, especially China, will begin to understand that it is far better to negotiate mutual security by reducing nuclear missiles rather than building ever more. The goal here is to convince China that it cannot achieve nuclear superiority. Now, China is also building missile defenses, and that's fine. Missile defenses are not necessarily able to kill people, only kill missiles. So negotiating a system in which missile defenses cancel out missile offenses is the real goal. This was the dream of President Ronald Reagan. And I remember that because as he was making these proposals in the mid-1980s, I was beginning my career in Washington, D.C., and I am elated that President Trump is finally realizing Ronald Reagan's dream and ambition.
So, Rick, you brought up China's missile defense capabilities, and I just want to follow up on that. I'm wondering, how does China's missile defense system compare with that of the U.S.'s?
Well, China has an initial ground-based missile interception capability. It is now producing a ground-based interceptor that is capable of taking down incoming intercontinental ballistic missile warheads. It has been working quietly to build a national surveillance and interception capability, the radars to detect incoming missiles and to target interceptor missiles. It has been cooperating with Russia to build this strategic defense capability. And the United States, unfortunately, has had little to say about it. When China really started pushing for this system back in the early 2000s, the United States should have taken note and should have accelerated our own national missile defense program at a much earlier date.
Okay, Rick, I just have one more question, and it relates to what you said earlier about building ever more advanced missiles. So we know China currently has developed hypersonic missiles, right? And these are supposed to be really fast. Can the Golden Dome intercept these missiles?
Well, yes, in their boost phase. A hypersonic glide vehicle is much more difficult to intercept because it is maneuverable. It can also fly at a depressed trajectory closer to the Earth, again, making it more difficult to intercept, which is why you want to shoot down this missile in its boost phase just after it's been launched, before the maneuverable hypersonic glide vehicle detaches from the launch stages.
So you're saying once it detaches, then it's rather difficult or impossible to intercept?
Well, it's very difficult to intercept. But as long as it's attached to its launch stages, it is far easier to intercept. And the first contracts that the Space Force is releasing in these past day or two are focused on a space-based interceptor, anti-missile interceptor that is far more capable of intercepting missiles in their boost phase.
Right, Rick, that's about everything I'm wondering about this topic. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Secretary of War Pete Hegseth gave an update yesterday on a task force addressing issues at military barracks. Hegseth announced the project last month to improve living conditions for U.S. service members nationwide.
I tasked them with reporting to me directly, and I just got a report 10 minutes ago. An execution plan in their first 30 days. Not to plan for a plan, not to study or analyze. The mission was to find and fix now. To provide every warfighter a room that is clean, safe, and comfortable. Locks that lock, security cameras that work, furniture and mattresses that aren't older than the service members sleeping on them, and no mold. That doesn't take a plan, that takes action. And the task force is doing just that. Thanks to President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill, the Department of War is investing more than $1.2 billion right now to improve barracks conditions.
In the first 30 days of the barracks task force, new furnishings and mattresses were installed in 81 barracks, benefiting more than 15,000 service members. Since October 27th, more than $100 million in quality of life improvements have been implemented. Those include new door locks in 10 barracks for over 6,000 troops and upgraded security systems in 13 barracks, affecting more than 1,500 service members. Hegseth says monthly reports will track progress and ensure funds are spent on safe, clean, and comfortable housing. He emphasizes that living conditions directly impact service members' physical health and mental health as well. The move follows reports of mold, electrical hazards, falling HVAC systems, and other issues at multiple bases, which even forced temporary relocations. If you're traveling for Thanksgiving, wet and windy weather may slow you down. We have the latest forecast after this break.
A performance that truly matters for each and every one of us. This is what you've been waiting for. Shenyun. Get tickets now at shenyun.com.
Behind every headline in Washington, there's a story that could shape your future. With the Capitol Report, you get more than just the news. You get direct access to the White House and the Capitol. Every day, we bring you exclusive interviews with lawmakers, analysts, and experts, plus in-depth coverage of the decisions being made in Washington, D.C. Broadcasting live from the nation's capital, you witness events as they unfold, straight from the heart of Washington, keeping you connected, informed, and always a step ahead.
This is Pho-licious. Now, what is pho? It's an authentic Vietnamese noodle dish. Pho-licious chicken pho brings the comforting, aromatic flavors of Vietnam to your bowl. And Mama Thu's signature spice blend. Well, this chicken pho is as close to homemade as it gets without the wait. Some cubed chicken, a little lime, and then the magic moment. See you soon, my friends.
Pho-licious is now available at your local Walmart or walmart.com.
Whispered across generations, a hidden secret unveils the essence of longevity and vitality. A timeless legend regarding energy and wonder. Rooted in ancient health wisdom, we proudly introduce Pure Tang Black Ginseng, a 100% natural, organic energy drink made from premium 6-year-old Korean ginseng. It takes 2,260 days and nights from seed to growth, undergoing a meticulous 9-step process of steaming and drying. Black ginseng reaches its full potency, enriched with ginsenoside RG3 and enhanced absorption efficiency. No sugar, no caffeine, no artificial ingredients. Experience the pure, natural power of Pure Tang Black Ginseng. Nourish your body, strengthen your immunity, and boost your energy. To order Pure Tang Black Ginseng, please visit puretang.com.
If you love them enough to crawl into a play place to get them to come down, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
The first U.S. leader of the Catholic Church is sharing a message of gratitude ahead of this week's Thanksgiving holiday in the U.S.
I would encourage all people, especially with this beautiful feast that we have in the United States, which unites all people, people of different faiths, people who perhaps do not have the gift of faith, but to say thank you to someone, to recognize that we all have received so many gifts. First and foremost, the gift of life, the gift of faith, the gift of unity, to encourage all people to try and promote peace and harmony and to give thanks to God for the many gifts we've been given.
Pope Leo told reporters he was thankful for many things and encouraged Americans to be grateful as they enjoy their Thanksgiving feasts. The Pope made the comments to reporters in Castel Gandolfo, where he lives in Rome. On Thanksgiving, Pope Leo will be leaving for his first overseas trip. He's headed to Turkey and Lebanon, where he is expected to make an appeal for peace in the region and urge for unity among long-divided Christian churches. Now to the weather. As travelers prepare to head home for Thanksgiving, they're facing a surge of wintry weather with snow, rain, and gusty winds sweeping across large sections of the country. Here's more.
A strong midweek storm will advance from the East Coast to the Midwest, bringing thunderstorms, rain along I-95, and wind-driven snow near major hubs like Chicago and Detroit. On Thanksgiving Day tomorrow, forecasts say conditions will clear for the New York parade, but lake effect snow downwind of the Great Lakes will create pockets of poor visibility. The snow intensifies Friday when lake effect bands could stack up more than a foot of accumulation in parts of the Great Lakes region. A second storm system is expected to develop over the central U.S. this weekend, threatening widespread delays from Denver to Detroit. By Sunday, the coldest air of the season pushes into the northern plains. Meanwhile, another system will spread rain and snow from the Rockies to the Mid-South.
Today is the busiest travel day of the year in the U.S. Getting to the airport early was the strategy for most travelers at Ronald Reagan National Airport, just outside of Washington, D.C. The Federal Aviation Administration says this year's Thanksgiving travel season is expected to be the busiest in 15 years. Some travelers were already dealing with delays, but many were experiencing smooth travel with on-time flights and manageable lines. Car travel is also expected to be heavy. AAA expects 73 million people will travel by car for the holiday. That's 90% of all Thanksgiving travel. This year's Thanksgiving holiday comes just weeks after the government reopened following the longest shutdown in U.S. history. Air traffic controllers were among the millions of Americans who were unpaid during the 43-day shutdown. Restaurants are seeing a spike in reservations for Thanksgiving, according to booking platform OpenTable. Restaurant reservations for the holiday are 13% higher than last Thanksgiving. It comes at a time when the cost of groceries is climbing. However, it's unlikely a Thanksgiving meal will cost less at a restaurant. The Bureau of Labor Statistics finds that restaurant prices are rising faster than grocery prices and overall inflation. But the National Restaurant Association says menu prices in September saw their lowest monthly increase in a year and a half. And the American Bureau of the Farm Federation finds the cost to prep Thanksgiving dinner for 10 people is down for the third holiday in a row to an average $5.52 per person this year. The number of Americans filing for unemployment benefits unexpectedly fell for the third consecutive week, marking a 7-month low. Here's more.
Labor Department data shows a drop of 6,000 claims to roughly 216,000, the lowest number since April. The new jobless claims data might be surprising as scores of companies such as Amazon, HP, and Verizon have announced layoffs in the past several weeks. Jobless data is often revised, but it provides a glance at the overall labor market. Unemployment information for federal workers is tallied separately. Due to the government shutdown, the October jobs report has been canceled. The November employment data will not be released until late December.
Some prescription drugs cost much less for millions of Americans in a few years. Medicare officials say newly negotiated prices for 15 high-cost prescription drugs will bring major savings when they take effect in 2027. The Medicare health plan said yesterday newly negotiated prices will result in a 36% reduction in spending, saving around $8.5 billion. The reduction stemmed from annual negotiations created under the 2022 Inflation Reduction Act, which allow Medicare to bargain directly with drug makers. Some of the steepest cuts include more than $4,000 off treatments for leukemia, lung disease, and breast cancer. Medicare covers more than 67 million people aged 65 and over with those with diabetes. The world's strongest woman has been disqualified. The competition's organizers said the athlete failed to declare that she was born biologically male. American Jamie Booker initially won the competition in Arlington, Texas over the weekend. She beat fellow competitor and runner-up Andrea Thompson of the UK. Following the competition, three-time champion Rebecca Roberts weighed in to object to Booker's victory. Organizers have since declared Thompson the winner of the event. The incident marks one of the latest controversies surrounding men competing in women's sports. Earlier this year, President Trump issued an executive order to, quote, protect opportunities for women and girls to compete in safe and fair sports. Changes are on the way to a national park near you. The Department of Interior says foreign visitors will soon pay significantly more, while the number of free entry days will also increase. NTD's Daniel Monahan breaks down what to expect.
Beginning January 1st, 2026, the price gap between residents and non-residents will widen. U.S. residents will still be able to buy the annual National Parks Pass for $80, but foreign visitors will pay $250 for the same pass.
And for our international visitors, a new $250 pass ensures they contribute their fair share.
For foreigners without the annual pass, entry to 11 of the country's most visited parks, such as Acadia, the Grand Canyon, and Rocky Mountain National Parks, will include a new $100 fee on top of the standard entrance cost, which can run up to $35 per vehicle or $20 per person. The pass will now cover 2 motorcycles instead of 1 for those who prefer to ride beneath the open sky. The Trump administration says the new pricing structure supports its America First agenda.
This year, we're making it easier and more affordable for every American to experience the beauty and freedom of our public lands.
In another change, the Interior Department is also adding new resident-only patriotic fee-free days in 2026, bringing the total number of free admission days at national parks to 10. New 2026 dates include President's Day, Memorial Day, Flag Day, the Park Service's 110th birthday on August 25th, Constitution Day, and Theodore Roosevelt's birthday.
As Theodore Roosevelt once said, there can be no greater issue than that of conservation in this country.
Theodore Roosevelt placed over 230 million acres under federal protection, more than any other president. And for America's 250th anniversary, admission will be free over Independence Day weekend, July 3rd through the 5th. These fee-free days apply only to U.S. citizens. Non-residents will still pay regular entrance fees. And new digital park passes are coming. Starting January 1st, visitors will be able to buy and store their national park passes virtually on recreation.gov and link them to any physical pass they already have. New commemorative designs for the nation's 250th anniversary are also being introduced. The annual pass features Presidents George Washington and Donald Trump. President Theodore Roosevelt appears on the Volunteer Pass. Trump saluting service members is featured on the Military Pass, and Independence Hall is on the Senior Pass. National parks continue to see record attendance with nearly 332 million visits in 2024. About 14.5 million were international tourists. Daniel Monahan, NTD News.
Coming up, we speak to a former undercover cop who's now a pastor about his incredible story and how he found a new way to live out his faith. Stay tuned.
When I arrived in the U.S. at 19, I struggled to find job opportunities without a high school diploma. My name is Ariel, and my entire life changed when I took a chance and I got my high school diploma at age 22. Everything I have, my education, my career, my marriage, I owe to the Adult Literacy Center and my teachers. They were with me every step of the way, helping with my English and math, making sure I pushed through all the challenges.
Oh my goodness. So Ariel, we made this here but for you. It has notes from other people that are here. Your achievement has set an example for so many students. Most importantly, your daughter.
Education was the key that unlocked all my opportunities.
When you graduate, they graduate. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you.
Being a cowboy, I don't know anything different from when I was 3 or 4 years old. I did tough things. I thought everybody needed to do tough things, and if you didn't, I didn't have time for it. I had a very successful career at a very young age, and life was fast. I was preparing physically. I wasn't doing anything mentally on the inside. And then I got hurt. I wanted to be better as a person, and I really dug into mental health. I start my day with 20-minute workouts. I live life 8 seconds at a time. Horses are so therapeutic. They know what you're feeling. When you're nervous, they're nervous. You won't say it back, but we're pals. I take a lot of responsibility in taking care of my kids, my family, being there for them. You're gonna have tough days. Everybody does. Find a place to stop and just breathe. Love your mind.
Where did the time go? Somehow I lost all those years. Where did the time go? I don't know how I got here. Or how did I get here?
You've done the hard part. You quit smoking. Now do the easy part and get scanned for lung cancer. If you smoked, you may still be at risk, but early detection could save your life. Talk to your doctor and learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Taiwanese President Lai Ching-te said this morning that Taiwan will introduce a $40 billion supplementary defense budget to counter China's rising threat. Lai said history has proven that trying to compromise in the face of aggression brought nothing but enslavement. This comes as China ramps up military and political pressure. Lai said in August he hoped to increase defense spending to 5% of GDP by 2030. Here's President Lai.
China's threats to Taiwan and the Indo-Pacific region are escalating. Recently, various types of military intrusions, maritime gray zones, and disinformation campaigns have been occurring in Japan, the Philippines, and around the Taiwan Strait. Taiwan, as the most important and most critical part of the first island chain, must demonstrate our determination and take on a greater responsibility in self-defense.
Moving on over to Europe, the European Union is investigating Chinese fast fashion giant Shein. This comes after France found illegal items sold on the platform.
We talked to the French authorities, we talked to Shein, and we now have serious indications that indeed Shein may be posing a more systemic risks for our consumers across the entire European Union. This is why we have indeed sent a request for information just now to Shein, asking the company to send us 2 types of information. First,
the EU is asking Shein to provide information on what systems it has put in place to prevent illegal goods from being sold online, and what it has done to prevent minors from accessing them. Based on Shein's answers, the EU may launch a proper investigation later. Earlier this month, France asked the EU to investigate how Shein was able to sell illegal items, including childlike sex dolls and weapons online. The French government also started a procedure to temporarily suspend access to Shein's online marketplace. But a Paris court announced today that the hearing for the case is postponed to December 5th. Xi'an has pledged to work with French authorities to address any concerns swiftly. After Zohran Mamdani's victory in New York City, how is socialism being repackaged for a new generation? Tonight, Carrie Smith joins NTD's Steve Lance for a candid, in-depth conversation where she shares her personal journey out of what she calls a woke belief system.
With woke ideology, there is no creator in that belief system, right? A lot of times what they're doing is telling people to worship yourself or worship the government. But it does lay out this sort of moral code for people in how to be a good person. And so a lot of woke people may think, well, I'm not religious. Really? Because you will stand here and argue with me until you're blue in the face that a man can get pregnant. Like, that's a very fanatical view. and you know deep down it's not true. And so it tells you, like, the way to be a good person is to say and do these things, and then all of these other things are bad. Like, it inverts the natural order of things. It turns everything upside down. And I think it fills that gap for a lot of people if they're not connected to the divine, if they're not connected to God, to the natural order, to the natural law. It sort of gives them this fake way of discerning what is good and what is bad. It's just turning it upside down, though.
Smith also opens up about the fear she faced leaving Hollywood and her former ideology, and how language is being weaponized to reshape public thinking. Catch the full conversation tonight on 101 with Steve Lance at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Joining us now is a former undercover policeman turned pastor who's also the co-founder and board chairman of the nonprofit Boost Others. So Dale, thank you for joining us here again. And Thanksgiving is a time to reflect, on and remember as well the American spirit of charity and generosity. So on that point, can you tell us from your perspective why it's important to take the time to do that?
Well, primarily, the first reason we give thanks on Thanksgiving is because, and it was our founding fathers built it on the idea that we needed to give thanks to God. If you breathe, all of us breathe, and if you stay alive, you breathe 22,000 times a day. Every breath is dependent on God's mercy. So for them and the founding fathers, they even made it a law that everybody had to stop on that day and thank God and commit their day and commit themselves to thanking God. So the idea was to thank God. Secondly, though, it's commanded in our Bible for those of us that are Christians, and so it believed because of that we've got this undergirding idea of generosity and gratefulness because we're dependent on God and dependent on each other. That is part of the humility of being human. Is you could be the greatest or strongest or richest, but you still can't make your own breath, and you still need others around you too.
So Dale, I want to focus on the word gratitude that you brought up. And I understand you were an undercover cop, and you must have had your fair share of risky situations, right? While still managing to be a pastor. Have these experiences helped you share or shape your understanding of gratitude?
Yeah, I would say that working around drug dealers and criminals for all the years I did that, as 29 years I was a police officer and worked undercover a long time of that. And as doing that, during that time, you realize that in the criminal element, there is no gratitude. The idea is to get and to take everything you can. And so if I was working undercover, really trying to get somebody to trust me, I could think of guys, drug cartels, and dealing with them face to face and hand to hand. It was not thank you. It was not that type of gratitude was not the key. The key was to win and to take and to succeed above the other. Well, in my life as a pastor, I'm able to remind and show people that we actually are all grateful, and we need to be grateful. We've built on it as a nation, but also personally. And so I would say seeing the opposite allows me to see the value of God's way of generosity and gratefulness especially Thanksgiving is a great opportunity for that.
So now, Dale, I want to know more about your nonprofit, Boost Others. Can you talk to us about that, this organization that you run, and how you've seen it transform the lives of the people you help?
Yeah, I was just looking at pictures. Right now, somebody just sent me a text message with some more photos of people that we've been able to help over Thanksgiving here, over Thanksgiving week. Tomorrow's the actual day. Well, Boost Others was started with the idea that as a policeman, I would take calls and I would get calls from the dispatcher. She would tell me go solve a crisis. And the way we dealt with that was to arrest people and so on. But, it's limited how much help you can give. Well, as a pastor with the gospel of Christ, we believe that people's sins can be forgiven. They can be reunited with Christ. They can walk knowing that he is with them. So with that kind of message, now we hear about a need through social workers. So we depend on hearing from social workers in the hospital, schools, police departments, Child Protective Services. All of those call us when they have a need that nobody else can fix. And that's when the police get called, is when everybody else can't solve it, you call the cops. And that's what we do as Boost Others, is we solve a need others can't. We run to the need as fast as we can. We try to resolve all needs within 24 hours of getting a call. We deliver, and then we try to solve something for people in their worst moment. Last couple of days, we've been doing food a lot, but we are excited to do all kinds of things. We do wheelchairs that are urgent. We do sometimes medical equipment that's urgent. Things that people can't get solved and the social workers can't solve through either government or through other ministries and nonprofits.
So Dale, when I think law enforcement, I don't immediately also think about pastors. So I'm just wondering, what led you to become a pastor from a background of law enforcement?
Well, actually, I was going to be a pastor originally. I went to Bible college when I was a kid, and I was going to go to work in the inner city. But the problem was I didn't really have any understanding of the community. I'd never really been in a tough spot. I had grown up in a nice family. So anyway, I thought, why don't I join the police department for a year or two, learn, and then I'll be a better pastor. And instead, I stayed 29 years, ended up working in narcotics and worked undercover for about 22 years of that time, and was able to learn through that time that really God works, whether you're a newscaster, policeman. We're doing what, if we live under submission to the Lord and doing the way he wants to, he walks with us through every profession, plumber, preacher, policeman, no different.
One final question. If you were to send a message this Thanksgiving to families and individuals, what would that message be?
Well, this is a time, it's funny, here in America, everybody comes together on Thanksgiving. We get a lot of family together and so on. So it's actually a time of gratefulness to God, but it's also sometimes a time of challenging people that you're around that you're not around usually. I would just tell you, take this time to be grateful to God for each one. Be grateful for the minute you spend with them. Be grateful for the good things about them, even if you're not thrilled about everything. And you can turn the most challenging relationship into a blessing if you realize this person was made by God, they're loved by God, and gives you an opportunity to be nice to them and be gracious and show gratitude for the good things they do, even when they may be challenging up front. So in our relationships, gratitude makes everything. Generosity means everything. And that's the way God created us to treat each other.
Well, okay, Dale, really great advice. And I think personally, I'm going to try to enact some of them that you talked about today. Thank you very much.
Good. All right. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving. Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade is getting ready. All your favorite balloons are being inflated today. Entd Sean Marshall is still on site checking it out by Central Park. Stay tuned.
Discover the ancient secret to vitality and longevity with Puretang Black Ginseng. Crafted from premium 6-year-old Korean ginseng, each root is carefully nurtured for over 2,260 days, undergoing a traditional 9-round handcrafted process of steaming and drying to unlock full potency and absorption. Experience pure natural energy with Puretang Black Ginseng. Order now at puretang.com.
Shop the Design Studio by Mathis Home for Black Friday savings on luxury designer furniture. Get factory authorized savings on all the top brands with heirloom quality pieces for every room in your house. Choose from our incredible in-stock selection or let our complimentary design staff help you create a custom look to match your own personal style for less than you ever imagined. Get unmatched luxury at the lowest prices of the year through Black Friday weekend at the Design Studio by Mathis Home.
大提琴不仅仅是一件乐器，它是有生命、有感情的，需要我们精心的照顾。往往我们一个小小的动作，可能都会对人情绪产生微妙的影响。天音的品牌是福星，我们对于传统的理念很荣幸被神韵艺术团选为指定供应商。时间是酿造音色的不可替代的陪伴。我跟大提琴已经有60多年的友情了，每一把琴都有它自己的个性，熟悉它，才能真正发挥它的潜力。所以，我希望给你的每一把琴，都是首先我所信任的。
The Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade Balloon Inflation event has been happening since 1994. Once again, NTD is there, and we'll be covering the parade tomorrow as well. And Sean Marshall is right now checking out the event. So Sean, good to see you. How's everything looking at the balloon area?
Man, actually, a lot of the balloons are already inflated, and the crowds are pretty big, a lot bigger than I expected. And it's actually, the balloons actually used to be inflated at nighttime, maybe so they wouldn't scare little kids seeing their favorite cartoon character on the ground. But now the whole family can enjoy it in the daytime, and this year's parade should be pretty great.
So I see Minnie Mouse there and a balloon behind you directly, which I can't make out. What are those balloons, and what can we expect to see this year?
Well, it looks like a giant turkey right behind me, and a couple new balloons, Mario, Shrek's onion carriage, Derpy Tiger from K-pop Demon Hunters, actually pretty popular cartoon, and you know, a couple old favorites like Goku, your Pikachu, Snoopy, actual favorite of mine when I was a little kid. Back to you, Don.
You know, a lot of people is trying to force me to watch K-pop Demon Hunter, and I've been reluctant, but I hear it is a good movie. Well, all right, Sean, thanks for talking to us today. A debate is heating up ahead of Thanksgiving. Families across the country are voicing their opinions about which traditional pie is best for the holiday. NTD's Andrew Thomas has more on their favorites.
They're arguably two of the most popular Thanksgiving desserts, pumpkin pie and sweet potato pie. Sugar Magnolia Takery owner Elizabeth Arnold makes both.
I would say the main difference is like the spice. So sweet potato is a lot sweeter. It has white sugar, brown sugar, and then the pumpkin pie is less sweet and more spicy.
Many stick to their favorites every Thanksgiving. Customer Joan Stringer prefers sweet.
Sweet potato pie. It's one that I make, it never fails, and my family loves it.
The two Thanksgiving favorites have more in common than not. They're similar in color, taste, and texture. Those similarities make them all the easier to compare, but they each have their staunch supporters. Lori Robinson says her family's choice is about nostalgia and tradition.
Pumpkin. I grew up eating it. My mom cooks it every Thanksgiving, Christmas, every time. So yeah, it's way better than sweet potato.
Sweet tooths might decide to have both sweet and pumpkin at their Thanksgiving tables. Graydon Smith says he doesn't have a favorite.
I really like them both. I'd probably have to flip a coin.
The debate is likely to continue, but pie isn't just for the holidays, so there's plenty of time to try both. Andrew Thomas, NTD News.
Okay, we'll be taking a short break now, and we'll be back with more news, so don't go away.
Behind every headline in Washington, there's a story that could shape your future. With the Capitol Report, you get more than just the news. You get direct access to the White House and the Capitol. Every day, we bring you exclusive interviews with lawmakers, analysts, and experts, plus in-depth coverage of the decisions being made in Washington, D.C. Broadcasting live from the nation's capital, you witness events as they unfold, straight from the heart of Washington, keeping you connected, informed, and always a step ahead.
All throughout your home, appliances and systems just wait for the worst time to break down and leave you with expensive repairs. Unless you have a plan from Choice Home Warranty.
All home appliances and systems have a breakdown clock, and when it expires, it will cost hundreds and potentially even thousands of dollars to fix or replace. That's why every homeowner should have a plan with Choice Home Warranty, like I do. For a low monthly fee, a Choice Home Warranty plan will cover your heating, air conditioning, plumbing, appliances, and more. Don't let an unexpected repair wreck your budget. With Choice Home Warranty, that covered repair is fixed or replaced for you.
Choice Home Warranty has been a great company to work with, and they've taken care of us. I would suggest anybody who lives in a home not to be in a home without them.
Avoid the ticking clock of home appliances and systems breaking down with a plan from Choice Home Warranty. Call now to get your first month free. Call in the next 10 minutes and we'll give you $120 off your first year of coverage. That's $200 in total savings.
With a nationwide network of over 25,000 technicians, I don't worry about how my next breakdown will be handled. With a click of a button, my claim is filed, and Choice Home Warranty starts the clock. They do the legwork, hiring the right technician and handling the cost of covered repairs and replacements. And check this out. For a limited time, you can get 1 month of coverage free. Did you hear me? Free. You can't beat that deal with a sledgehammer. But hurry, this offer is ticking away. Once the clock hits zero, poof, it's gone.
Don't fear the breakdown clock. Get a plan from Choice Home Warranty and get round-the-clock money-saving protection you can count on. Call in the next 10 minutes and we'll give you $120 off your first year of coverage, plus get your first month free. This offer won't last long.
Get your home protected. Call now.
Don't wait for an appliance or system to break down. Call before that happens. Call 800-983-3523. 800-983-3523.
Elmo's daddy taught him that when he has a big feeling like being frustrated, humming a song can help you feel better. Love your mind.
There are real consequences to controlled media. And NTD's founders know them firsthand. Our freedom of thought is the price. This is the lesson that guides us in everything we do.
Yeah, so there's the tear gas there.
We know the value of a free society. And we take seriously the responsibility to preserve it. We are NTD.